Well, welcome everybody to our fourth Big Day virtual field trip, brought to you by Logan AC and Heating Services and Papa John's Cincinnati. We're having a great time. I can see a few whole classrooms out there up on the bar. I'm waving to you. Everybody wave to us there. And Margot, and I'm seeing Emma's class and Shelby. I tell you what, if you teachers, if you can do this for us at some point during the field trip today, if you can snap a couple of pictures and email them to us, bigdave@b105.com of your classroom and your students watching the field trip, we would love that. We've had a lot of people doing that, but even more would be appreciated. So thank you for that. So let me bring in our boy here, Statman. Statman, let's see, you got to unmute yourself there and say hey to us this morning.
Hey guys, I got my hard hat on. I'm ready for an adventure.
Yeah, and Statman is wearing his hard hat today because we're going to the Rumpke Recycling Center there over in St. Bernard, Cincinnati, and we're going to have a great time. And we had to wear a hard hat a lot while we were in there, Statman.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, I should have brought my own. I got this one just for work around the house because I'm accident prone.
He's always bumping his head. Always
yeah,
bumping
it happened.
So we got Statman there over in Villa Hills. Let's say hey to our girl Chelsea. I see she has joined the video. Good morning, Chelsea.
Good morning. Thanks for joining us, guys. This is going to be so much fun. It's super interesting.
Yeah.
I learned a lot.
And where's your hard hat?
It's back at Rumpke. I left it there.
You left it there. But you had a great time out there, and it's very interesting, like what we're going to see, all the amount of recyclables that come in every day to Rumpke here in Cincinnati.
Yeah, it's amazing what they do there.
And you know what? Our other member of the show, well, Ashley, it kind of changed your life a little bit. It made you look up and say, am I doing all I can to recycle?
It sure did. I take an extra step now when throwing away cardboard boxes. They don't just go right in the trash. I break them down and put them in my recycling. I should.
There you go. That's a good idea. So everybody had something to learn, and we're going to have Ann Gray from Rumpke. She's going to be joining us here in just a few minutes after the field trip. But I don't feel like I'm forgetting something, but I don't think I am. We're going to get ready. Oh, yeah. If you have any questions during the course of the field trip, feel free to type them in the comment section, and Ann will be able to answer them after the field trip. Okay. And the other thing is, please keep your microphones muted during the field trip video here that we're about to show. More important than ever on this one because it's very loud where we're going. Okay, so there's a lot of background noise. And Amanda, who you're going to meet here on the video in a second, was actually having to speak to us through a microphone, one of those little doohickeys, and we had headphones on. So it sounds a little bit robotic. It might be a little bit loud. We tried to remove as much of the noise as we could for you before the field trip. We aired it. So just keep that in mind, teachers. It might be a little bit loud at times, and there's sometimes when the audio drops off. It's not your computer. It was just the microphone going down for a second. That happens just a couple of times during the course of the video. So just keep that in mind, and I'm going to take care of something here real fast, and I don't think I can do it. Stephanie, I'm trying to see here. Let me get rid of the chat. Close. Okay, there we go. I'm going to mute everybody, so we'll start the video as soon as I can do that. And here we go. Let's head over to Rumpke Recycling Center and check it out right now. Here we go. Hey, it's the Big Dave Show, virtual field trip number 4. And oh boy, we got a treat for you today. We're here at the Rumpke Recycling Center. Amanda Pratt is with us. Good morning, Amanda.
Good morning.
So she's taking our temperatures.
Yes.
We're all good to go. We're going to go inside and we're going to learn the do's and the don'ts of recycling. We're going to see what happens, like say when you recycle that plastic bottle, it goes on a little journey.
It does. It goes on a quick journey back to your grocery store.
Absolutely. We're going to see how that works. And I hear there's like the Toy Story conveyor belt thing here.
Absolutely.
Let's go do it and check out the Rumpke Recycling Center here in St. Bernard in Cincinnati.
There's some safety gear you guys have to put on before we go in the recycling facility. We need hard hats, we need safety glasses, safety vest, and even sound systems.
Sound
Because
systems?
it's very loud and noisy
Wow.
in there.
Is that like earplugs?
Well, we have earplugs. Those are optional, but they're actually headsets.
Oh, like this here.
Yes.
Look at that.
Yep.
All right, so we're all suited up, Amanda. We're ready to go, and you're going to take us in here in just a second.
Absolutely.
Let's go find out how to recycle and what goes on once you do recycle, start to finish. Let's do it.
Let's go.
Whoa.
Goodness gracious.
This material recovery facility services parts of Cincinnati, but also gets recycling from as far away as Louisville, also in Dayton, Ohio. So right here, this is called our tipping floor. The trucks get weighed on the scales, then they come inside here and we unload the material. This tipping floor is big enough to hold 2 days worth of recycling. So that's about 2.5 million pounds of recycling.
I see a Papa John's box.
Yeah, I think that's Ashley's dinner from last night.
Is that the claw, just like in Toy Story movie?
Yeah.
Is that the claw?
That is a front end loader. So as the trucks dump the load onto the floor, that front end loader is going to scoop and shove the material onto a drum feeder, which is this. See that you can also see the claw, but that's the drum feeder, that blue and gray machine going up, and that's a conveyor that's separating out all the material and kind of spreading it out so that our machines can get to work processing all the different types of material that are in this pile.
So that recycle truck right there is just gonna dump it right on the ground.
Yes.
Look at that, bud. Oh, yeah. The one that's coming in right now. So can we see that? Oh, I don't know.
Yep.
There's the claw. The claw.
The claw.
And so a recycling truck's probably picking up between 600 and 800 stops on one route, sometimes up to 1,000 stops in one day.
Come right this way. As you come in, all that material that we just saw out of the tipping floor, all the material that's coming in off the tipping floor is coming into our pre-store area. So this is all the material. The first thing that we you're looking at right now is called an optical scanner. It's sorting the containers from the paper materials, using an infrared ray of light to identify the different types of materials that are passing through on the conveyor. You see some more optical scanners. We have a lot of redundancy in the recycling process because the redundancy helps ensure quality material that's separated by commodity. Another interesting part of this recycling process is everything is, as you would expect, computerized. So we know if there's a problem, we can fix it, but also we're keeping track of how fast the material is going through. And if the material is water because we've received a lot of rain, then we can make adjustments. They're called recipes, and we can change the recipe and make the equipment and the angle sorters and the disc screeners work differently to handle the type of material that's coming through. Conveyor, you're starting to see more containers, more plastic bottles and aluminum cans. The paper and the cardboard, for the most part, has been removed, but we have quality control people working at each line to take out any remaining paper or cardboard. We have about 55 people that work on one shift at the recycling center and another 55 at nighttime. So down below on this conveyor, you see where the cardboard has landed. The cardboard's already heading out to be baled. And we'll show you those bales. They go out to different manufacturers. So right here, we have a system that shakes the material and vibrates the material. We have found that by shaking and vibrating the containers, it spreads them out so that the optical scanning system can see them better. So you can see on this line, again, the plastic's becoming better sorted at each turn. This machine right here is an overhead magnet. It is using a magnetic force to grab the steel cans out of the train of materials. So that's what's pulling out those soup cans and all those other containers. So now that we have sorted out the steel containers, we use a machine called an eddy current. And the eddy current is really cool. So it uses magnets placed at opposing poles to cause the aluminum to be repelled. And then, as you can see, the aluminum cans hit that magnetic force and they are propelled, so they're a separate conveyor. So we're sorting aluminum cans right here. Again, here we have another optical scanner. This one is focused on removing plastic number 1 containers. So these are containers like water bottles, 2-liter pop bottles, regular pop bottles. It's called polyethylene terephthalate, PET plastic. Now you're starting to see some of this complete separation of materials. Milk jugs. We have quality control in place to pull out anything that made it to this line by mistake. We have to get pure streams of each commodity so that we can market it to manufacturers. The manufacturers take jobs, we do housekeeping. We repair the disc screeners where bags have torn them up, or the raw recyclables. We work on cleaning up the dust and the dirt from the day. It's a constant housekeeping process. Safety is always first, so a big part of that is keeping every area free of debris so that we can walk around safely. So like I said earlier, in a day we'll process about 1.5 million pounds of recycling. Rumpke has 11 recycling facilities company-wide, and every year we recycle more than 1 billion pounds of recycling.
So right now it's quiet.
Yeah.
It's quiet because the plant had to be shut down. And every once
Well,
in a
because of us?
Not because of you guys. But sometimes we get the wrong things that come into the recycling facility. And if a chain gets stuck, if linen wraps around equipment, or even if a machine gets clogged, we have downtime. And the downtime is what increases the cost of recycling.
Gotcha.
So I can't emphasize enough, it's so important to recycle only those items that are on the lid of your recycling cart.
Please do. And you know what, Amanda, thank you very much for having us out. This is great, and we're going to have somebody from Rumpke on with us here in just a second, right?
Yeah, Ann Gray, she's our education specialist.
So she's going to answer some questions too, but hey, from all of us, thank you very much. This was so much fun. Hey, there you go, and a big round of applause. Thank you, Rumpke. That was a lot of fun. And well, let me get my chat window up here so we can see if we have some questions, and we sure do. And we got Ann Gray here. Let me bring Ann up, and you'll be in the spotlight video there, Ann. And hi, Ann.
Good morning.
So, Ann, what is your job title there at Rumpke?
I'm the education specialist for Rumpke. I'm in the corporate communications department. So Amanda, who conducted the tour, is our director of corporate communications.
Okay. Well, we've got a lot of questions from a lot of students all over the tri-state. And well, Margot's class wants to know, we wonder if there is a smell there. And well, I can say I didn't really smell anything, but we have on masks, so it was hard to tell.
I would say most of the time there is not a smell. Every once in a while you might smell something. It's not anything that is really unpleasant, I would say, for the most part. I mean, I can remember a few years ago, right after Easter, everything smelled like chocolate. So I think people were recycling those boxes of chocolate bunnies. So that was actually very pleasant. But most of the time, no, there's not a smell.
Very nice. Let's see. Melissa wants to know, from Melissa Finster wants to know, how do you get the trash out of the recycling bins that isn't recycling? And I guess, what do you do with the trash? The things that people have sent through that's not recyclable, what happens to that? It just goes to the landfill?
Yes, it would go to the landfill. And I would say from the very start of the process, I mean, even with our drivers, maybe being alert to something that's in a recycling container or adjacent to it that we wouldn't want, they would not pick that up. But then when it comes to the tipping floor, the employees that work out there, if they see something obvious, which could be scrap metal or a mattress or something like that, they would remove it. But all the way through the plant, that's what our employees are doing. They're removing things that we don't want, and then those materials would go to the landfill.
Let's see, from A. Jones, they want to know, do you melt any of the products from I don't know, it's from Woodville Elementary?
Woodville Elementary. No, we don't melt anything. One thing to really remember, we don't make or create anything at Rumpke. That's not our role. All of the material that you saw baled at the end of the video that Amanda was walking around and showing the bales, those will all be loaded up onto tractor trailer trucks or rail cars, and then they're sold to companies that make new products. So we don't do anything like that. We do not melt anything down.
You do have a thing that smashes all the glass, though, into pieces.
We do. The scalping machine and of course the compaction trucks are going to break some of that glass when it's transported to the material recovery facility. But at the scalping machine or the scalping screen, however you refer to it, we intentionally break the glass because first of all, glass is very hard on the equipment. So we want to get that glass off of the line as quickly as possible. So it falls below just for a little bit further processing, ends up outside of the material recovery facility, or we call it the MRF, in a silo. Trucks pull up, they're loaded up with that broken glass, and that glass goes to our glass processing facility in Dayton, Ohio. So if you put a glass pickle jar in your recycling bin, when it comes to Rumpke, we're going to break it, and then it's going to be transported to Dayton.
Okay, Courtney wants to know, how dangerous is it in there, and can things catch on fire? That's from Dulles Elementary there.
Yes, unfortunately, we have had fires at Rumpke. In fact, we had a major fire April 10th, 2012. Thankfully, no one was hurt, but the building and the equipment were destroyed at that point. So the facility that we just saw was rebuilt after that episode. And we do have things that come into Rumpke that are unacceptable, that are very flammable. And Amanda did mention lithium-ion batteries, like the batteries in a cell phone or a laptop or other things. We don't want those. We don't want them in the trash, and we don't want them in the recycling. They're very, very flammable. We get things like propane tanks and just different things that are not acceptable. So, please remember that we just don't want those things in the recycling, and they can be very flammable. And we have minor fires every once in a while. Our employees are very well trained as to how to respond to that. The fire department from St. Bernard is wonderful. They come over very frequently to kind of do walkthroughs just to make sure that they're familiar with the facility in case something would happen and they're called at a moment's notice.
Terriana Smith wants to know, does it take all day to clean the building there at the Rumpke Recycling Center?
Oh, that's an ongoing process. Unfortunately, dust is a byproduct of recycling. So you could see that it's quite dusty in there. So when there's downtime, like in one portion of the video, when the plant had stopped for whatever reason, employees are supposed to pick up a broom or something like that to clean. And a lot of times at night, the shift that comes in the evening, they're responsible for doing some cleaning. But just like at home, you can dust and maybe an hour later you look and there's dust, and you can imagine the magnitude of it that we see at Rumpke, but it's an ongoing process.
And Christopher wanted to know, how do they put it in the cubes? I would think that was the baler, correct?
Right. The baler is used to, and they're called bales. You guys might be more familiar with like a bale of hay. This time of year, a lot of times people will use that in decorations for Halloween, or if you live out in the country, you might see those hay bales, but that's what they're called. And we do have a piece of equipment called a baler that compacts that material. So a bale, for example, of paper or cardboard weighs approximately a ton. A bale of the aluminum cans weighs between 850 and 900 pounds.
Gotcha. I think, I think we've covered all of the questions that weren't answered during the field trip, but we saw how the machinery works, and do you melt any products, and does it smell bad? And I don't see anything else really that has gotten it. Is there anything you would like to add this morning?
Yes, one thing that I would like to mention are the factors that determine what we can accept at Rumpke for recycling, because many times people ask that. And first of all, we have to have an end user or an end market. That's who we're selling it to. So we have to have somebody that wants that material. We have to have the quantity or the amount that they want, and we have to have the quality. So that means we don't want to send, for example, a company that's purchasing cardboard from us. We don't want to send them a bale of cardboard that maybe has plastic bags in it or food waste, for heaven's sakes. So we have to make sure that we have good quality material. And then, of course, we have to be able to safely and effectively separate that material. So if all of those factors are in place, then we can put that item on our acceptable items list.
Gotcha. Got you so much. Well, Ann, thank you so much for from everybody and for having us on or being on with us this morning and taking us on a nice tour of Rumpke Recycling. I think everybody really learned something here today, and it's fascinating because it's just another one of those things. You put that stuff in your little recycling bin. The guys come by and get it. It goes on a journey that you probably never thought about before to get from being that to maybe being a park bench or being a aluminum can, becoming another aluminum can, what all goes on in that process.
Right. And may I just add one thing? I want to encourage the teachers and students to take a look at our website, www.rumpke.com, our YouTube channel, Rumpke Clean and Green, and on our Facebook page, there are a lot of videos, one of them dealing with wetlands that we've restored at one of our landfills, or fossils at the landfill, or even something that was filmed at the Cincinnati Art Museum. So Rumpke is on display at the Art Museum. You might want to check that out. And those videos are located on our Facebook page.
All right. Thank you so much, Ann.
Thank you, everyone.
Yeah, and I saw that Statman, you had a book over there. You were showing what is that book there?
Oh yeah, I got this from when we went to the Rumpke site. It's just a bunch of tips about recycling. And I guess the big takeaway from this is like paper towel, you can't recycle. Styrofoam, you can't recycle. But almost everything else you can.
Yeah. Well, on the Big Dave Show, we like to recycle jokes all the time. In fact, if you listen long enough, you'll hear those, right, Chelsea? Oh, you're a little muted there, Chelsea.
There we go. That is right. All the time. We always recycle jokes.
All right. Well, while we have everybody still on here, I want to bring up Ashley because she's going to be an integral part of next week's Big Dave Show virtual field trip. Ashley, next week, we're going to go to the Dent Schoolhouse.
Ooh.
The biggest attraction, not only in Cincinnati, but wins nationwide awards, and they're going to make you into a witch. And we're going to watch the professional makeup artists there at the Dent Schoolhouse make you into a Halloween character.
I can't wait. I'm going to look spooky.
Oh, so spooky. So we're going to watch that from start to finish, and that's going to be a lot of fun. And we'll get a little bit of a behind-the-scenes check of the Dent Schoolhouse. And don't worry, teachers, if you got kindergartners, youngsters, we're going to keep it not too scary because it's obviously a very frightful place, and we don't want to frighten a lot of you younger classmates, but younger class or students and things. So are you ready for that? All right, this is going to be fun.
I'm ready.
Make sure you sign up for that at b105.com. Just look for the school bus and we'll go. But thank you again to our friends at Rumpke Recycling for bringing us through there today. Also, our friends at Logan AC Heat and Services and Papa John's Cincinnati for doing that. And we saw a few of those Papa John boxes that might have been Ashley's or mine or Stats or Chelsea's in the sorting area there on the tipping floor there. So thank you guys for doing it. And we'll see you again next week, 11 o'clock for another Big Dave Show virtual field trip, the Dent Schoolhouse. We'll see you guys.
Thank you.